Everybody, thanks for watching, and just a quick reminder that all 43 videos are available on flash drive. Also, the final 2 books in the 5 books of Moses and the Bible series will be available this week. That is Numbers and Deuteronomy. They will be coming out at the end of the week. So if you do purchase the flash drives, you will also receive the download links to Numbers and Deuteronomy when it comes out at the end of the week. I also want to thank everybody who has purchased and supported the clothes and shoes and everything. It has been doing very well, and I appreciate the support. And I appreciate the people who really understand that you cannot be conscious without your consciousness, and that without consciousness we can't have material things, whether it be clothes, shoes, or what have you. Without consciousness, the material world cannot be brought into existence. It is here because of consciousness itself and conscious people who have created things using their consciousness. So I really want to thank people who get that and who understand what conscious really means, and that consciousness itself cannot be relegated to one specific thing, and that without consciousness nothing material could exist. Which basically brings us into this video, because we have all received this question talking to Christians or what have you, and a lot of people will ask you, well, if the Bible is false and if God is not real, then how did we get here? How did we come into existence? What created us? So a lot of people want to interpret the creator or creation itself to this being called God that was given to us by, the Europeans. So we got to really look at that and really understand about consciousness and energy, and what a lot of things that we find in the ancient world, how it really fits with the human body itself. And as I talk about in the videos, the ancient Egyptians, when they was talking about gods, you have a lot of Christians believe that we worship these gods, and the ancient Egyptians was trying to show us how these gods are basically parts of our body, parts of nature, parts of energy that really exist in us and exist in nature as well, and what they really mean as it pertains to us as humans. So when you start to understand these things, you start to see what, the Europeans interpreted as God, and why these qualities was ascribed to certain parts of the body from the ancient Egyptians. So we want to get into this. So a lot of people don't really get consciousness. A lot of people put it in the realm of something spooky. A lot of people don't really want to get into it or really grasp the understanding of, the fact that, a God is a man-made word. God is something that we created in this, this human world, and that doesn't fit towards what is basically responsible for our consciousness and creation, which is basically consciousness itself. So when you start to really understand, what consciousness is and how it really fits into our body and how it fits into the materialistic world and everything that is material and how it got here, you can see why people have used this to describe what they believe is God. So as we all know, with a lot of religious people, it's hard to get them to understand that 1 + 1 = 2. They do not like to answer questions. They don't like to really accept rationality when it comes to the Bible. And it's hard to really explain a lot of stuff to religious people. So the whole thing with the Bible's interpretation of how we came into existence is obviously flawed in so many different ways. As we have been told that Adam and Eve was the first people ever created in the Bible. But we go and look at Genesis 1 and we see that it says, male and female created he them, and he told them to be fruitful and multiply. And you ask yourself, who are those people? If Adam and Eve supposed to be the first people, who was these people that was obviously created before them? And as I talk about my videos, how it's given us the creation of, energy, the soul, existence itself for us. Spiritual first, and then Adam and Eve being the material when you understand the parable as I talk about. But, you have to really look past that. And a lot of people, first of all, it's hard to get Christians to really understand and fathom that part of it. But it's more to it when you begin to understand the science behind it, which, again, it's hard to get Christians to really accept science. But, the computer that you're watching this on is science. Your TV is science. Our phones are science. Science is proven. And when you start getting into science, a lot of people will turn away. But as I talk about, you have what we know as consciousness. You have consciousness basically creating energy. Energy creating atoms. Atoms creating the right amount of atoms, giving us the elements that creates the materialistic world that we see. So when you have atoms, which everything in the universe is made up of atoms, that's material. When you have a certain amount of atoms come together, they form certain elements. When you have a certain amount of elements come together, they form certain materials, so on and so forth. So this is the scientific definition that we get of the creation of matter. And obviously there had to be some type of consciousness and intelligence to put these certain unique pieces together to give us what we have, our planet, our body, or what have you. Another story which I talk about in my videos. But, understanding that and really looking at that as being way more understanding and rational than, being made from the dust of the ground, which we all know that's not possible. We all know a woman can't come from a man's rib. So you have to really look at the Bible and take what it's giving you and put it into context with history, science, or what have you. And that is the purpose of the book. And it's hard to get religious people to understand that the book is there to be decoded. It's not there for you to really accept every single thing on the surface as being fact, plain and simple. So for grown-up people who can understand that there are secret societies out there that have this book as their manual because they can decode the book and go off of it. Another thing that I talk about. And you really got to really start looking into how it relates to the body. So in this video, as it says in the title, we're going to get into the pineal gland and really understand that and how it relates to light, consciousness, and what have you. So we all say that the body is a vehicle. The pineal gland is the seat of the soul, so to speak. The body is a vehicle. Your spirit, your soul, or what have you, inhabits this vehicle, this body. And vehicle is the perfect analogy for it when you begin to understand what takes place. And you begin to really understand why the sun was worshipped and revered in the ancient world as, what the Europeans call God. But understand, when light is exposed to the eye, it stimulates the nerves from the retina to the hypothalamus, which basically leads to the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now, the suprachiasmatic nucleus basically ignites a bunch of other nerves in the brain that basically stimulates the rest of the body. So it causes, so many different hormones to awaken and, your body temperature to rise or what have you. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus would be like, the starter on your car, the ignition. And light, or the sun, would basically be the key. So basically, with a car is really complex. And so many things have to fire off, and so many things have to be right, and so many things have to happen for your car to simply start up. It's a crazy process, and all that begins with a turn of a key or push of a button, and boom, your car starts up. So your body is basically like the same way. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus is basically like, the ignition sequence that's basically going to start your body vehicle. And that begins with light itself. So the first light, the very first light that touched your eyelid, that hits your eye in the morning, begins that sequence. It begins it, and the nerves fire off, wake up other nerves and other signals in the brain to basically begin the waking process of your body. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus basically, it awakens all those hormones and causes everything to basically begin and start you up and start your day. And if you basically blacken out your room, if you basically completely block out all sunlight from coming into your room, watch how long you sleep. You're going to sleep longer than you think. You're going to sleep for a long time, because without that light, that first sunlight hitting your eyes, it's going to take a long time for that process to begin waking you up to begin. So you understand, we're talking about the sun. That's how powerful the sun is. It really begins the awakening of your body. And the suprachiasmatic nucleus is sort of like a time clock. It understands night and day. So, you have the suprachiasmatic nucleus basically firing off all these hormones and wake you up and get you energized in the morning. And it basically, while it's awakening everything for you to function during the day, it's basically holding back the hormones that's going to make you sleepy. So during the day, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is holding back the hormone melatonin, which melatonin basically is what seeps into your bloodstream and begins the cooling down process of the body and makes you sleepy. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus understands that at a certain time, when it starts getting dark, it's going to start to let melatonin into your bloodstream and you're going to start to get sleepy. So this is what happens. The suprachiasmatic nucleus regulates that whole process. So it's really conscious, and it understands, which is amazing, that during this time of the day, it's going to wake you up. It's going to make sure all the nerves and everything is firing off right and everything is good for you to be functioning during the day. Soon as about, let's say around 9 o'clock hits, start getting dark, it's going to begin to let little bits of melatonin come into your bloodstream and begin the cooling down process, and you to begin, you get sleepy. So of course, it's a lot of things we can do and take to slow this process down. We can get into all that, but it's basically almost the same process. I hate to mix it with this, but with alcohol, when you drink alcohol, it seeps into the bloodstream and you get that warming feeling in the body, and people get drunk, you go crazy or what have you. It's the same thing with melatonin, but melatonin is a controlled hormone. It's a hormone, by the way, that really just begins the cooling down process of your body and relaxes you, and basically this is how you fall asleep. So the whole thing with this is understanding that the whole process begins with the sun, with light, and it begins the whole process of awaking and sleeping when the sun goes up and the sun goes down. That's already programmed into your consciousness, into your brain. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the suprachiasmatic nucleus, however you want to pronounce it, it basically allows the pineal gland to basically allow melatonin to be released into the blood. And melatonin being released into the blood is basically like the clock. It's like a clock. You have melatonin in your blood for about 12 hours. So basically from 9 at night to 9 in the morning, where it starts and ends. And the suprachiasmatic nucleus begins to basically control the hormone and the amount of melatonin released in the blood, which starts the process of you awakening. So you can see, because of the sun, and understand why they worship the sun. Because of the sun, this whole process begins. Just from you having light hit your retina. Even if your eyes is closed, you can tell when light hits it. It's a difference from when you look in complete darkness versus a light shining on your eyelids. But just that small amount of sun begins the process of your body awakening, and your body beginning to rise. Just from understanding what we just talked about, it's so many different things now that you can look at in the ancient world, in the Bible, and understand that they're talking about the sun. They're talking about the pineal gland. And this is what we do as conscious people when we go and look at the Bible, when we go and look at biblical texts and so many different things in ancient history and the teachings and the writings and what have you, to pull out the parable and pull out the real understanding that they're trying to give you that relates to your body. So when I say the consciousness in us, yeah, a lot of people who's talking about the pineal gland being, the seat of consciousness, the seat of the soul, or what have you, that's within you. And when you begin to understand, what Jesus is talking about in the Bible, when he says that I am in God and God is in me, basically what he's talking about, a lot of things start to open up. So just understanding what we talked about as far as, suprachiasmatic nucleus, beginning the process of you awakening or what have you, and then dealing with the pineal gland, which is God or what have you, then we can go to the Bible. We can go to Genesis 32:30, and look at Jacob. So it says here, and when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. Understand what I'm saying? And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And in other versions, it'll say you have wrestled with God and men and have prevailed. We'll understand that in a second. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. Understand that. This is the reason why they word things a certain way. He said, and he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Pineal. So where did he get blessed at? The pineal gland. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Pineal, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. So what is it talking about here? It's talking about exactly what I just told you, plain and simple. So you have the story where Jacob is wrestling with God. Just think about that. Like, how is he? What is God doing wrestling with this man? Like, you got to understand these stories. You wrestle when you're asleep, plain and simple. That's the parable it's giving you. He was asleep. And then God, which is the sun, shined on him, his pineal, which begins the process of releasing. I just got finished talking about what is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, begins that process of releasing the melatonin from the blood, that hormone, and begins the awakening process that has to do with the pineal.